I suppose the truth of the matter is you're running out of games, 7 to play. The next one is always the biggest, but this is quite a big game. If you can take points off your relegation rivals, Everton, 7 points ahead of you? This could be quite a result and give confidence another massive boost.
Yeah, I try not to speculate too much on the outcome. I know that winning gives us better perspective than losing, but I think we're at a stage of the season where we still got everything to fight for, and that's all that matters. And I think the team anyway would do that. It's not something that would leave this team or this club. It's always been in us.
What is your analysis of Everton? They've gone 13 games without a win. They can't be high on confidence themselves, but how do you approach this one given their form? I don't know. Every Premier League game is tough, so there's no such things as easy games for us, and I know we just have to prepare well, make sure that we're aware of their strengths, and make sure that we, see opportunities for us to exploit as well, that we seize them. But I've not dived in too much into the fact that they're on a winless streak. It's not really relevant to me. It's the game in itself that matters. Do you have a target at this stage when there are only 7 games to play? Do you have a points target, or do you say we've got to win 3 or 4 of these last 7, or otherwise? Try and win as many as you can. I keep it really simple. You overcomplicate it with all the maths and stuff. If we just focus on winning the next game and we do that consistently, then that's the only thing that, it's a mindset that you hear now, and you'll say, well, it might be cliche, but because we've experienced it in 2 seasons at the very different ends of the league, but it's still very much the very same mindset. Just in terms of the approach on the pitch, I know on Tuesday you played David Fofana and Lyle Foster up front together for the first time. Can we expect a repeat of that on Saturday? Well, we'll see. First, we have to make sure that we assess everyone before the Everton games. We had two games in quick succession, and then whoever's ready and fit, and we think is most likely to help us for the game, they'll start. Any other injury concerns or bumps and bruises from Tuesday? No. Everyone's ready to go. As you were. Just on your own charge by the FA with misconduct following that dismissal at Chelsea for that red card. I know now the dust has settled. Do you still feel the same way in terms of your comments regarding the standard of refereeing in the Premier League this season? I mean, my comments on the standard of refereeing was just an objective and fair assessment. But, just like there's a lot of things we should have done better this season as well. It's life. And I think there's ways to make it constructive, which is definitely not the way I did it on Saturday, but it's the way I'm trying to do it now. But I have to move on. My main thing now is the game. I know you said you don't mind being fined. You have until 6 o'clock tomorrow, I think, to respond to that misconduct charge. Yeah, I don't know. It's really far from my mind at the moment. I'll dive into it once I've finished preparing this game and probably have a few chats internally with the club. But other than that, what's done is done, and it's about the next game now. Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks, Tom. Fraser, PLP. Just moving on from that, Vincent, and talking about trying to be constructive and positive, have you got any thoughts or any ideas as to how things do improve?
Not now, but not necessarily right now at this moment in time. But I have shared, and I will share in the future, definitely, because it's to the benefit of the game. And it's, of course, much bigger than my own personal situation or the situation of the club, because I don't want it to come across as it just being about it's unfair to Burnley. I said it's not good enough. There's nothing wrong with it. It happens in life. The main thing is, like, are we taking steps to get to where it needs to be? And like I have known the level of refereeing in this country to be, for me, the best in the world. And
And, you know, of course, there's a new element that's been introduced with VAR and different rules and stuff. So it's not easy. But in a constructive way, I definitely think there's a lot to learn out of this season. And you can see I'm not saying this with any other intention than let's just get it right.
As far as Everton are concerned, given the way that they started the season and did really well, is it a surprise now to see them in the position that they're in, do you think?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I'm just focused on my own team.
And Goodison Park for years has been a particularly difficult place. The fans are really often behind the team. But given the way things have gone recently, I understand things are a little bit different. Do you go in there with any sort of a plan to try and have a really good start to the game, to try and quieten the crowd down and try and stamp your authority on the game?
No, we played like every Premier League game. There's only so much we can control, right? So the main thing is for us to be ready on the day, to take on the fight, and that's it. You know, to have a team that's just willing to. I mean, this being in this league and having the opportunity to play this type of games at Goodison Park, that's what it's all about for us. So and it's worth everything to us, and therefore that's what I hope will reflect on the day. Thank you.
Is there any sense of frustration, Vincent, that you're on this unbeaten run, and I know you don't necessarily see it as a run, but Tuesday night, the performance you had, get a point, and actually that gap gets bigger?
No, it's frustration is day of the game, maybe, sometimes. Day after, no chance. Move on, it's done. And like, look, I might be a little bit different in this, I know, you know, but you have this, everybody has this habit of, you like everything stops at the end of the next 7 games or whatever, you know, like we don't, after the next 7 games, it's not like, you know, we go home, sit on a beach and never come back, you know, it's like, it's just a continuation. So what I'm trying to say with this is, it's like, the frustration can't persist for too long. You have to move on. There's everything that lies ahead. That's the only thing that matters. And for us, we have just all the confidence to go into every single game we still have to play this season, and also after this season. So it's really important that the mindset goes past just we've had a setback and that's the end of the world. It's not like this, or I don't function that way.
I know from sitting here for the first time almost, you talked a lot about the medium and the long term and the fact that there was a plan. A relegation would have a big significance though, wouldn't it, to that plan?
We're not going to talk about that right now.
But if you're thinking about the medium to long term future, it's got to be a consideration, hasn't it? Your supporters will be concerned about it.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't think about it right now. I said to you also a lot of times, in fact, every single time since January, I've told you those are discussions we have mid-season, beginning of the season, not when there's 7 games left and there's still everything to play for. The only thing I always try to convey as a message is that we, I mean, you know, in any scenario, it's scenarios that the club has known in the past, you know, and it's a club that hasn't panicked in those moments. So why all of a sudden should we, you know? Do we have to portray a crisis just because that's what you're supposed to look like? You're supposed to look in crisis? No, there's urgency in everything we do. There's hard work and, you know, trust me, hours and hours and hours put on the training pitch and outside. So the behavior's all right to portray the urgency of the situation, but, you know, I don't think we're going to look in crisis just for the sake of looking at it. It's a club that's been there before in every situation, staying up, going down, and it's a club that always does the right thing in those moments, and that won't change.
And business-wise, I'm certain you're better qualified to talk about business than I am. Accounts published this week, independent auditors giving a review of the club as a going concern and maybe raising some concerns about that. Does that have an impact? Does that mean that the football side of things might be affected because of the financial picture?
No, I don't know. It always. Again, you're asking me this. It's a 3-week game, and we got in 48 hours one of the most important games of the season. I mean, what benefit is there to me to start talking to you about the accounts of the club? The only thing I can tell you about is like it can make, these type of things will make headlines for 3 or 4 or 5 days, and then, other people in the club, do we look worried? Do we look like we've lost control or calmness? We don't. But let me focus on the Everton game right now. That's what matters.
Thank you.
Max Graff.
You said on Monday there were some injured players back in training. Could they be back for Saturday, or was that too soon?
Hopefully, but when you have these 2 or 3 games when you have these 3 games in a week, usually we'll see. Some of it will be assessed today, to be honest.
Actually, about Dara O'Shea as well. I think he got his 4th assist of the season on Tuesday night, which I think is the most of any centre back in the league. Is that by design, or is that quite a happy coincidence? Centre back is creating that many chances.
No, I couldn't look. There's an element of design that, like in everything, but in the end, it's the players' intuition, the players' desire to either get on the end of stuff or be a part of something. He always had that in his game, in his profile. To do it at Premier League level, that's pretty remarkable, to be honest.
You said before the international break you'd use that time to sort of consider the contract situation. Have you now got more clarity on that picture?
No, my message was in fact that nothing will be decided until the end of the season. So, but I do think when you have players who have been at the club for a long time, I think it's always the right thing to have the conversation. But in the end, because there's still so much at play, it's last year, for example, 2 months before the end of the season, we were sure of where we were going to start next season. Not quite the case yet, so that you have to delay decisions at that moment in time.